Well, hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome to our today's event. I'm very excited about. My name is Sydney Bell. I'm the Network Program Lead for the Ontario Network of CAPCHP projects. 8:03 a.m. And my watch just talked to me for some strange reason. It's always disconcerting. Anyway, I'm really delighted to be here and welcome you today to join us for this Father Focus event. I will get us started. I'm joined here with a co-host Jason, and our speaker Ed is here. But before I hand things over to them, I would like to just bring us together in community together and start things in a good way. And one way to do that is taking time to acknowledge the many Indigenous territories and homelands across Ontario where our network members live, work, and connect. We express gratitude as we gather today for the lands and waters that nourish children, families, and communities, and for the generations of Indigenous people who have cared for and stewarded these places since time immemorial. So our network, the network of CAPCHP projects, our sponsor agency is Camino Mental Health and Wellbeing, located in Kitchener. And Kitchener is within the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral peoples, and is located within the Haldimand Tract. So let us take a moment to honor the enduring presence, knowledge, culture, and contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. And I'm certain our time together today will reflect a spirit of respect, learning, reciprocity as we work to support the health and well-being of children, families, and communities across Ontario. So thank you again for joining us today.
Which
And as I mentioned, I have a co-host, Jason Brock is with me co-hosting this event. And thank you so much, Jason, for coming and supporting our event. And I want to just give a shout out to Jason, who's wrapping up his second 2-year term on our coordinating committee in the next few months. And really just appreciate all the time that and wisdom and energy that you've given to our network serving on the coordinating committee. Kind of sad that your terms are ending, but maybe we'll find other ways to continue, and you certainly remain a part of our network and hanging out in the East Zone. So over to you, Jason.
Yes, thank you, Sydney. That was great. Yes, and it's been a wonderful experience for myself to be part of the coordinating committee. I've My name is Jason Brock. I'm based out of Peterborough. I'm a program manager at the Peterborough Child and Family Centers. So I've been involved with CAPCHP. I have to make sure I get that acronym. The new one now, for over 20 years, been involved in those programs, which have also included programs for dads at our Peterborough location. So I'm very passionate about the work we do and the work with fathers and male identifying individuals as well. So I'm very excited to introduce Ed. Ed, I'm going to do a little bit of reading because as my grandmother always said, when something's important, you always write it down. And this is where I come from as well. So today our speaker is Ed Gough Jr., who is a Toronto-based father advocate and media producer, as well as speaker, whose work over countless years working with fathers, male caregivers, and of course, families as well. He's also a co-host and co-producer of the Dad Central show. So if you don't know about that, I encourage you to check that out. Co-host with Drew Solian, which is actually the only online fatherhood conversation that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and that actually reaches over 500,000 dads through interviews, community programming, lots of great topics of conversation. So I encourage you to check that out. Ed also leads practical fathering workshops and coaching that focus on parenting skills, communication, and of course, family well-being with dads as well as the organization that support dads. So that's Ed. So as well, I came into connection with Drew through Dad Central. We've been involved in that together, steering committee for a number of years. Again, time flies by so quickly. It feels like it's been such a short time, but then I reflect and it's been actually quite a few years. So Dad Central is also supportive of dads across Ontario. And so that's very exciting. Ed is always, I always find Ed to be a very dynamic, um, passionate speaker, but also a very warm individual. And so the passion always comes through. So I'm very excited to anytime I can have a conversation with Ed. So welcome, Ed.
Welcome. How you doing?
We're doing great. I don't know about anybody
Doing
else.
Yeah,
excellent.
well,
Yeah.
first of all, I want to say thank you to Sydney and Jason for asking me to do this. And I immediately said, YES, 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 because I look forward to these things because, as I said to them before we went live, this is a get to, not a got to. So I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to us sharing today. I don't like to present, I like to share.
Mhm.
I like this presentation thing. I like to share. So it's before we go any further, a few rules. Ask questions. And part of my presentation is asking you questions. So if you're not going to ask me questions, I'm going to ask you questions. Next thing, I don't know everything. So if you wanted the guru, you can leave. All right. Also, let's have a good time and let's make this co-creative. So there's a lot of great knowledge here to share about fathers and families that we're going to get through. We don't have a lot of time. So sometimes I may accelerate it. Sometimes I won't. Now, does anyone have any questions for me? Don't be afraid.
I'm afraid. No, I just don't have a question right now.
Not yet.
Not yet. Anyone? Not even one?
One little question.
Can be
What is
anything.
your favorite breakfast food? I think about that a lot.
Oh,
Mm,
I like to have, I'm a big, you know what? These days, salad. I eat salad for breakfast.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it.
I eat salad for breakfast
Yep.
and I make sure my heaviest meal doesn't come after 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Likewise.
And the
Likewise.
reason being is when you eat at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, when you're going to sleep, your body's trying to digest that food, and it's not great to have a lot of stuff in your system while you're sleeping because sleep time is time for restoring and regenerating your body, not for digesting all this heavy food.
See
I
what
love
we
that
learned from
insight.
breakfast?
Something we didn't expect from a presentation like this. There we
There
go.
you go. So that's why I said ask me a question. All right. Well, let's get into it. So I have Sydney is the Vanna White of today.
Okay, so I'll get your visuals going here.
Get my
Just
visuals going and let's start it off. Okay. So today we're going to be chatting about, and this was in a conversation with Jason and also in conversation with Sydney, launching a successful dads program, building stronger communities for families and communities. And want to say right from the get-go, one of the reasons I'm very passionate about dads, fathers, and male caregivers is because the better each one of those groups are, the better families are. So we always talk about fathers and their families.
Agreed.
So fatherhood, kids, etc. I thought someone was going to ask me, like, how did you get into this? So I'll give you a really quick story. A number of years ago, for about 2.5, 3 years, I was a program coordinator at Canada's only father-focused family center. There is only one in Canada, a father-focused family center. So I handled everything from doing programming to being involved in custody, involving to disputes between parents, handling kid stuff, kids visitation, all that sort of stuff, windmill stuff. And through that, I met the past director of Dad Central, Brian Russell, and he asked me to become part of Dad Central. I said, "Yeah, let's give it a whirl." And I'm still whirling after all those years. So, and then that's how things have happened. And again, Dad Central, great organization. I'm going to promote it right in the front end. If you are looking for any parenting resources for dads, fathers, and male caregivers, that's the place you need to go. And it's been Canada's national fatherhood home for at least 25 years, if not more. So if you didn't know that, you know it now. Where was that center located? That was located in an area of Toronto. I'm located in Toronto, in the west end of Toronto. See, I like questions are coming there. Dadcentral.ca. Thank you. All right, let's move forward.
There you
Okay,
are.
that's about me. You read about me.
I skipped that.
No, you can skip. That's all right. It's all good. It's all good. See, I like to be relaxed and casual because we
Yep.
want to make sure this is a good time for y'all. So let's go to our next slide. Okay, so first up, the undeniable impact of involved fathers. And feel free to ask questions while I'm sharing this because the time is going to go really fast. So let's look at it. So first things first, the great impact of fathers, social and cognitive growth. Research shows that children with engaged fathers show better social competence, cognitive ability, and school readiness. Also, one of the big things that have come to light these days is fatherhood and mental health challenges. It's become a really, really big issue these days. And I like to mix stories in with the facts. So some storytelling and some facts. A number of years ago, during the pandemic, there's a gentleman who still lives in the area. He was a HVAC guy, and because of the pandemic, he couldn't go out. And one day I saw him during the pandemic, and I said, "Hey, like, how you handling?" Because he had a little daughter at the time. He says, "How are you handling being at home?" He said, "I love it. It's great for my mental health. I'm spending quality time with my family." And he said, I taught her how to ride a motorbike." I go, "What? A motorbike during the pandemic?" He says, "No, it's so much fun." And he said, "It's just keeping my spirits up, being involved with my family and my kids." So positive fatherhood, again, helps the fathers, dads, milk, and also helps the family. Very important. And then behavioral development. Involved fathers contribute to better self-regulatory abilities in toddlers and reduce externalizing behaviors in other children. So if they're feeling good, they're going to project that feeling not only amongst themselves, but the kids and other members of the family. So it's really important that we realize the importance of fatherhoods. And I don't know if you've seen, but there's a lot of studies out there about fathers wanting to be more engaged with their children. And the pandemic was sort of a watershed moment because many fathers' eyes opened up, realized how important they were to their family because they were home all the time. They couldn't do work. They couldn't go off to work. And they had a real sense of how important fatherhood is. And during that time, there were so many online communities that developed during that time. So behavioral wise, not only externally, but externally with their family and other people they deal with is really important. And also research shows with safer communities that children involved with fathers are less likely to enter the criminal justice system. And something I didn't get a chance to share with Jason and Sydney, probably in the next few months, I'm going to be involved with fatherhood in the prison community. And I know I'm going to hear a lot of stories from those who are incarcerated or post-incarcerated. I'm going to ask them, how was growing up with your dad? And I have a feeling I'm going to hear a lot of not too pleasant dad stories, or dad wasn't involved at all. So that's my first slide. We're not going to move because at the bottom, as I said, you're not going to give me questions. I'm going to give you all questions. So I want you, here's a question for you. How might your community look different if every child, is these slides going to be available to participants or do you have a post? Okay, I'll answer that after Genevieve. I won't forget that question. How might your community look different if every child had an actively engaged father? So I'm putting that question out to everyone. How would your community look different? The families that you serve, how would things be different? And they may have engaged fathers, but some of them probably are not engaged fathers. How would things look different?
So feel free to come off mic and answer the question
Yeah.
or put your answer into the chat.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, if there's less aggression and depression, to me, that equals perhaps less conflict,
Yeah,
less opportunity for, um, kids getting into trouble, getting into fights, right? And then, not engaging then with those systems that systematic violence that then just contributes to the
that's really
challenges
good,
that
Sydney.
people
And a gentleman
face.
was one of my fatherhood mentors, and early in my journey said, "Kids emu was it emulate what they replicate."
Mm.
Mm, I like that.
Right? They emulate what they replicate. So Jan says, possibly more engaged students. Oh, wow. The
There
comments
you
are
go.
flying now. Okay.
There we go.
So here we go, Sydney. So, oh, wow. They are flying now. Okay.
More
So how you want
engaged.
to handle this, Sydney? You want to read or you want to,
I could.
yeah, do the reading bit.
Um, so less stressed mothers depleted of energy, possibly more engaged students in school, higher academic. Oh goodness, it keeps jumping because people keep adding.
It's only one slide.
Uh,
Okay.
okay. Sorry, I'm lost. Okay, more engaged students, higher academic success. I see a question from Samantha, so let's
Sure.
circle back to that.
Yep.
Increased opportunity to have a secure attachment to another adult, better health and development, more opportunity for the kids to grow, more family activities, greater sense of belonging, connection, conversation, security. Children would have more love and maybe grow up to understand feelings and how to be parents, perhaps less teen pregnancies.
Mm,
Children would be more confident, competent. Engaged fathers means more opportunities for children to experience empathy and vulnerability together as a family unit, not just mom who can listen, but a partnership.
wow.
What sticks out for me, and I've seen it in a couple of the comments, is this element, and you've talked about this element of reciprocity.
Yes.
Um, you know, uh, 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 we're seeing a lot of these impacts that involve fathers, but then it comes back around and really strengthens um, dads, families, and then society.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
100%. 100%. And I'm beginning to think you folks don't need me here because you got the answers. You don't want, what am I doing here today? You got all the answers. But
It's a
no,
pretty
fantastic.
smart group. Yeah.
Well, you know what?
And
That's
committed
good.
and caring is really, yeah.
Love that. Love that. Okay.
Do you want me to read Samantha's question or
Yes, please. And
okay, so,
I hope I can add it to the best of my alleged ability.
okay. Many of us, I would hope, understand the important role engaged in fathers play in their families' lives, as just demonstrated. How do we support families where mom is the preferred parent? I see this pretty often, especially in babies and toddlers, where they cling to mom and kind of reject dad's offer of care. Do we frame it as just a particular season of development?
Great question. We could spend the rest of the hour doing that one, but I'm going to do a
Mhm.
short. I would say, first, I would say, what is the relationship between the parents? Because obviously, at the time, the young one prefers mom more than dad. Finding opportunities where they could be doing things together with the child. So the child starts seeing, oh, mommy and daddy are doing things together and work out. And it could be a preference thing. And a lot of times, especially younger children, are more attached to the mother. And sometimes that's it, like, oh, what am I doing? What am I not doing? But again, when the child sees things you're doing together, I'm spending, it's not perfect, but they're going to
Mhm.
say, okay, that is an important part. We are doing things together. Again, the replication, even at that young age,
Mhm.
is very, very important. And also, seeing dad doing things to help his child. There's a certain
Mhm.
chore, a certain task. Finding those times, especially the togetherness, I think is really important.
Mhm.
So again, I don't know enough of the situation. That was the first thing that comes up to my head
Yeah.
in this restricted amount of time. You're welcome, Samantha. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, time is going to go by fast. All right.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's do the next slide.
Hey, here we go. There you go.
All right. So, the key components of a successful dad's program: targeted outreach, reaching fathers who can benefit most, young, including especially young fathers and those involved with child support services. They're there. They're there. And also, many times when I've run a fatherhood program, the best marketers are the mothers,
Yep.
right?
Mm, right.
I've heard many dads say, well, she told me to come, right? She told me to come. And so they're there to do that. But there are resources out there. Okay, I will just pay attention to the presentation because there are too many comments going on. So definitely there are ways that you can do it in regards. And again, like it or not, court system. Like number of people that have come into my program have been referred to me or organizations by court program. But also listen. We as practitioners, we need to listen and listen what's going on out there, or and see where, and ask people, fathers, are you a father? Do you know of any fathers? This and that. And so we have to do that outreach. Sometimes we have to do that pounding of the pavement, whether we like it or not. That's just me. Second of all, a comprehensive curriculum. So you want to address parenting skills, healthy relationships, co-parenting, financial literacy, employment support, other areas, discipline, healthy eating. All those things that a dad has to be part of need to be encompassed in a program. Then also case management, providing individual support to track process and ensure sustained engagement throughout the program. So when I run a program, I make sure that the dads don't just come to the program and I see them next week. I make myself available in between sessions so they can reach out to me. And I will sometimes do check-ins on them. Because initially when you get dads out, they don't know who you are. And they always think, I'm a perfect parent. What am I? But with dads and lots of men that I assist too, you have to get their trust. Really,
I
really
have
important. Go ahead, Jason.
I often found that there's an element that helps with this as well as the peer mentorship piece. You know, dads connecting with each other as well as the staff and myself. As it seems like it's a really big piece of getting them coming out regularly.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jason, because ideally when you're running a dad's program, you want to be just steering the ship and they're driving the ship. That is when it comes, like, I'll share this moment. I was running one of Dad Central's programs, Super Dad, Super Kids, and it's a parenting program specifically for fathers. And two of the participants in one of the intakes I did was a gentleman who was 55 years old that spent $250,000 getting custody of his two kids. And there was another gentleman, 18 years old, who had twins. And I'll never forget this magical moment, just sitting there doing a session and seeing this man at 55 and this young man at 18 talking and relating and sharing with each other. Those moments are magical. So just building on what Jason is saying, that building that peer support, those relationships, because a lot of times dad is doing his thing, and you know, they don't have any relationships, or they don't have anyone really to talk to, and that can make the biggest thing. And if you can just sit back and watch the relationship develop between dads and other dads, it's a beautiful thing. All right, community partnerships, collaborating with local organizations to leverage expertise and resources for great impact. See what's going on in your neighborhood, in your community. It's been very rare that when I've shared what I do, people say, oh, that's a waste of time. Share what you do with organizations. They may or may not have a place for it, but they're not going to forget you. because there's not too many places, services out there that help dads specifically. And not to sound bad, there's lots of things out there helping the moms, but there's not as many helping the dads. And many times when I share this, people say, you're right. And right there is an opportunity to share a little bit more because they realize the need for it and the lack of it. That's an opportunity. So question on this slide, which of these components do you think is the most critical to get right first, and why?
Well,
targeted
and my logical brain says get your curriculum together, like get your what is it that we're offering? What are we about? What and then maybe partnerships. But also you need to be able to be adaptive though, and not get too entrenched in your thinking. So
I think I would agree. I think there's an element of like flexibility to be able to pivot to the needs of your community. I mean, assessing the community needs is really important. So the targeted outreach comes in there as a big part of setting up that framework.
Yeah, all good answers. It just depends how you flow. And I just saw a comment about dads work during the day and hard to get a hold of them. And I can experience that because a number of the programs I facilitated were in the evening. So dads are tired, had a hard day of work, wanting to, whether it's in person or virtual, even more so when you're running a program, good rapport with the dads. Right? Because a lot of them are tired or whatever, or they think, I don't need to do this. But if you can provide a good rapport with the dads, that would be so important. I'll hear someone say, I do mine in the evening and cook for them. Oh man, I need to hire you. I get double the amount. I'm not a good chef. I watch a lot of chef shows, but maybe I'll do barbecue jerk chicken this summer, see if they'll show out, right? But yeah, I think for me, it all depends, but the outreach is important because I need to see who's out there and who's interested. And then I could ask, what are you looking for? And then build my curriculum and programming around that.
Yeah.
So I want to know what the needs, who's out there and what the needs are. And also too, when dads go through programming that they enjoy, what are they going to do?
They're going to tell other dads.
Bingo. Right? The best marketers of your dad programming are the dads. Are the dads. And also I will, word of mouth is powerful. Yes. And in the community partnerships, I'll show you an example. When I was working at the Fatherhood Center, one of the community partnerships I had was with a family lawyer. And once a month, he would come in the evening and free of his time would sit half an hour with fathers that are dealing with challenges in the family court system. So if you're doing dad programming, that is probably one of the resources I would suggest. If you can, see if you can have a family lawyer to get on site, even if you just need to ask that lawyer questions. I was really blessed because I had actually 2 that came in once a month, and the dads would book them up like no tomorrow. Actually, one of the fathers was in an emergency situation. I picked the father up and drove them to this lawyer's office, and he spent 2 hours with them.
Wow.
Well, and I think it speaks to what you were saying earlier, Ed, around, dads connecting with other dads, because, often there'll be a dad that'll say, hey, I know a lawyer, or I know this person in the community.
Yep. But the relationships and rapport, really important with the dad's program. Relationships and rapport is so important, and all those things that you have there. And, if you can't provide them the answer, and if when the fathers can, where can they go to? What's a trusted resource that you can direct them to find the answer, or guess that next best step for them? Okay, let's go to our next slide.
All right.
Okay, the why now movement, growing momentum. So the shift is here if you haven't realized it. And as I said, it started back during the pandemic. Society is increasingly recognizing the critical role fathers play in child development and community well-being. So the time to do this, there's been no better time than right now. Actually, yesterday was the best time, but right now, right? So more and more I'm noticing, and I don't know if anyone else is, the increased acknowledgement of the critical impact fathers have on child development and community well-being. Communities want to have strong dads.
Yep.
All right. Then having proven program models. There are program models out there. There's one I just mentioned, Super Dad, Super Kids, that demonstrate effectiveness and scalability across diverse communities. So having a program model that can relate and be successful with diverse communities is critical. Like, I'm in the Greater Toronto area. We all know how diverse Toronto is. And I've been able to present the Super Dad, Super Kids programs to all different communities. So that's really important. And a cultural shift, societal movement towards valuing and actively supporting engaged and present fatherhood. So there is, slowly but surely, a shift happening. So my question on this slide is, what barriers in your community might be slowing this momentum? And how can we overcome them together?
Oh, they're coming into the chat.
Once in a while they do.
Lee has shared a barrier, long existing perception of dads babysitting instead of parenting.
Yeah, dad's working. You know that so Cherry, you're on fire. You said dad working too busy. So I'm going to give a very interesting example. It doesn't involve program, but it's a great dad story. It's about a year ago doing a sharing in a South Asian community. And the wonderful thing, there were not only fathers, but grandfathers there, which was so cool. And I was sharing how important it is to spend time with your children. And this one gentleman goes, I spend time with my child every day. I said, okay. So I went in on him, said, so when do you spend time with them? Oh, 11:30 at night. I go, what? And I said, okay, 11. I said, what makes it 11:30 at night? So he worked an afternoon shift. So when he came home from work, he intentionally spends time with his child every day. I said, okay. So I put myself out on the ledge a bit, say, yeah, show me, how can you prove that to me? So he pulled out his phone and showed me a video from the night before. He was driving and his son was in the seat with him at 11:35 at night. I said, that's a gentleman who broke barriers, because most dads, well, not most, a number of dads would say, no, I come home from work, I'm too tired, da, 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 da. He was intentional. And he says, every night when I come home from work, my son is waiting for me at the door, ready to go.
I think the intentionality is a big part of that, right? Yep.
Right. So he's making that move. There we go. Yeah. Lack of dads do not like feel. Yeah, we only have so much time. If there's a part two, we can go deeper into this, because there's a lot of good stuff I'm just seeing in the chat here. Dads don't feel like they belong. A number of them do, but it's actually again, here I go talking about Super Dads, Super Kids. One of the first modules is Super Dads are Super Dads. And a lot of times they don't get it. A number of times they don't get a knowledge of being a good dad. And they never feel, and they say, well, I got to do this, I got to do that. Just saying, hey, you're a great dad. Thank you, Dad. And not just on Father's Day, which coming up, but all the time is really important. Small things lead to big things. So those small little things grow to big things. Yep. Some parents that gatekeep and aren't inclusive of fathers. Some are overwhelming yeah, absolutely. There are some some circumstances that make it very difficult. It can also be a barrier why dads engage. Okay,
Yep.
very true. All these answers coming in, like me, Sydney, if we can keep the chat, I think it'd be very valuable. If
Yes,
there's any way we can, because
absolutely.
I think there's a lot of great future
Hmm.
conversations here that if everyone's up to it, I think it'd be great. So,
Hmm.
yep, yes. I asked our
There's some great
participants.
insight there for sure.
I think
Yeah,
this can
no,
be
and this is
added
what I
to,
love. You know, there's
yeah.
so much good knowledge being shared by everyone here that I think
Hmm.
all of us, at least one person is benefiting from each thing that's being shared up here.
I agree.
Okay,
We
let's go.
just a quick side
No,
note
go
though.
ahead.
We and we'll maybe talk about this later, but we did a quick little survey out to our
Hmm.
network about father engagement in programming, and I'm glad you pointed this out. At this, our conversation in the chat, I think, can be added to that to really
Absolutely.
enrich the picture we have of our current landscape. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, thank
Fantastic.
you.
All right, let's move to our next slide. So, actionable steps if you're thinking about launching a program. First, assess your community needs. What do you have in place right now? Right? And that also includes, are there any other programs that are out there? And not just in your local community, but in other communities. Now, actually call that person up and say, hey, I'm looking at launching a fatherhood program. Could you provide me some insight? Most people are going to say yes,
Mhm.
right? Because we're looking at fathers and their families. We're not competing against each other. We want to complete the family, right? So reaching out there and just asking so you can help start building the curriculum for your program and for your launch. Securing funding. I saw someone put about money out there, explore grants,
Yep.
potential initiatives, and local partnerships to build sustainable financial foundation. Always tough, and even tough as always these days. I also want to suggest, so reach out to maybe some businesses and see if they may be able to invest money and or time, because not all funding comes from the government. There is funding outside the government, by the way, right? And a perfect example, for the last, we're going on 5 years now, Dad Central, we have had a partnership with Dove Men Plus Care. They're not a government organization, they're a global organization. And every year we've had that relationship, which involves some financial also. Don't be afraid to ask, because if you don't ask, you don't know. And again, there's got to be at least one organization out there will donate something of value, whether it's money, etc., to fathers and their families, because a lot of these organizations have fathers in their organization.
Mhm.
So don't be afraid to ask. Select or develop curriculum, evidence-based programs like, again, Super Dad, Super Kids. So if you want to reach out, we can certainly talk about that. And that's evidence-based, and it's been going on for many years, and it is approved by different psychologists also. So it's a proven program that's been going on for years and years and years. And again, hail up to Brian Russell for creating the initial
Hmm.
program. Cannot forget that. Then develop an outreach strategy. Oh, sorry, build partnerships, collaborate with schools, community centers, and social service agencies for broader reach. Rick says male facilities can be hard to find. I've been told I'm one, but have noticed of groups that have, yeah, it can be hard. And it always leads ladies say, oh, can a lady do this program? Facilitate. Sure. Remember, the most important thing is trust. It can be run by male, female. The key thing is, do the participants know, like, and trust you?
Mhm.
Right? Once you get that trust, then you can go to the next level. Yeah, but building partnerships with schools, and even if you're not planning to run a fatherhood program, I'm going to challenge you with your agencies. Do you have a relationship with school or schools in your area? Just a thought, right? Because at least if they know you're there, they probably have access to families and fathers, and they say, so and so, we have a father here that, needs some assistance. Can you help them? Whether it's, and I'm a person, I've done programming with one father. I don't, not this person, oh, I need 10 fathers to run a program. It all starts with one. Start with that one father if you need to. Get something started, because how would your agency look saying, well, we'd like to start a father program, but we only have 2 fathers that are interested. We'll have to wait till we get 10. We're dealing with families. How's that going to make a father feel? He's come to you.
Mm.
Well, and building that momentum, right? Yeah.
Exactly. There's a company, sports company, a number of years ago called Starter. Don't know if anyone remembers that company. And they did T-shirts with logos, and one of the logos I'll never forget, it says, "It all starts with one." Okay, develop an outreach strategy, create targeted campaigns to recruit participants and raise awareness in the community. So building on the partnerships, find out where the dads are. One of the terms I use a lot these days is, if you want someone to be with you, you sometimes have to go to their bus stop.
Mm.
And then implement and evaluate, launch a program, track outcomes, and continuously improve based on the data and feedback. Your program, one of the key parts of your program is asking the fathers, how can it be better?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing sessions, ask that after each session, ask, is there anything I could have done more or less of? I do that on my one-on-ones. I do that in groups, because I'm asking their opinion, and they see that their opinion's valued. So which of these steps feels the most challenging for your organization to tackle, and what support would make that possible? Any feedback? Securing
There's
funding.
funding.
Yep. Okay.
Any thoughts on any other ones?
Well, I don't know if it's the most challenging, but what's landed with me and won't leave my head since you said it, Ed, was the importance of trust, right, in building trust. And that got me thinking about certainly where we do work a lot with moms and have a lot of experience and skills in building trust with moms. So, and I'm sure we can pull from that to build trust with fathers. But are there specific things we can think about or different approaches? Like, is it different to build trust with fathers versus mothers? And,
Yeah,
are there things we can think about?
it's
If
a
that makes
great,
sense.
yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
point, because even when I first meet a dad, we're strangers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I have to, and depending where the dad is at their journey, I got to show that I'm investing in him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Show that I'm
some dads aren't
investing.
ready.
Yeah.
No problem. But I make sure they know if and when they're ready, I'm ready for
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say to them, I'm here to help you and your kids. I don't say
Mm-hmm.
you and your kids. I make them look at it bigger than just them,
Mm-hmm.
you and your kids. But if they're not
Mm-hmm.
ready, you can't force them.
Mm-hmm.
You and your kids. I can't emphasize how much you and dad and the kids, dad and the family. Don't leave
Mm-hmm.
that out. Because if they
Mm-hmm.
start thinking it's all about them, they may bolt.
Well,
Yeah.
and often dads are focused very much externally to their kids.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's the motivation I would like, right?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yep.
this is a journey, family. It's not a quick thing. I'm sure many of you already know it's
Yeah.
a journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's a journey. And Shine, they don't know. Yeah, pride is real, 100%.
Mhm.
But you could also ask them, on a scale of 0 to 10, how do you feel your relationship with your children are? And some will say a 10 and say, okay, what does 10 mean?
Mm-hmm.
Go deeper. Don't be afraid to
Mm-hmm.
go deeper.
Well, and I like that because if a dad says a different number, like if a dad says a 5, And so you can put a nice follow-up to that would be, what would it take to get to us to
I like
a
7 or
6?
above.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 7 or above. And don't be afraid to ask them questions, because a lot of times they've either not been asked that question, or they want to answer it and no one's given them the environment or
Hmm.
the time to answer those questions. All right. Another
Thank
slide, because I
you.
know we're coming down to countdown. Okay. So I believe, yeah, this is the last slide. We got some
Yep.
time. All right. So final slide, invest in fathers, invest in the future. So successful dad programs are not just about parenting, they're about building stronger families, reducing crime, and fostering resilient communities. So by supporting fathers, all of us here empower children and create the ripple effect of positive change that extends across generations and throughout entire communities. So our commitment, I want to share this and hope you commit to. Let's commit to launching impactful dads programs. Even if it's one dad, it's a program that make a lasting difference for fathers, for children, and for the communities we all share. So together we can build a future where every dad has the tools, support, and community to thrive, and where every child benefits from an engaged and present dad. So what is one concrete commitment you can make today to support fathers in your community? I'll take one or two people, whether it's via the chat or unmuting yourself.
Okay, can I try?
No, you do. You're
Absolutely.
not doing. You're trying. You're doing it.
So we do run a prenatal program, and so during conversations we would have, our flyers or anything that the facilitators will print, and we would say, thank you for coming, and take this home, and I hope that you can share that with your partners. So before it was like, okay, thank you for coming, have a good day, but now we include, you can share it with your partners, and then we can have a discussion next week on what they said or what, just to be, I guess, plant the seed that, okay,
Yes.
maybe I can
Hmm.
share it, because it's the part that, oh, yeah, they're not gonna read it, like someone said about gatekeeping. And it's, whether they read it or not, at least if you offer and you show them the materials that you learned during a workshop, it would still create an opportunity for them to maybe take an interest, or
Yeah.
even create an opportunity for conversation.
Yeah. That's a great suggestion. Putting it
Yeah.
out there, right? Putting it out there. And when a father responds, celebrate that they've responded. Celebrate that with them. Celebrate it. Because
Because
that's
that
for
takes
some dads,
courage.
that's a major move. That's a major move. They're reaching out to someone they don't know about parenting. That's a major move for a lot of dads. So we need to celebrate that. And when a
Absolutely.
dad does that with me, I'm saying, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm really happy to see that. And I'm going, how are you feeling? How does that make you feel? How is it making you feel that you want to improve your relationship with your kids? Okay. I
Very
think
good.
there's two more slides. So we got one more. Next slide. Thank you. And I want to thank all of you for your commitment for building stronger families and communities. I really appreciate all that you're doing, and I don't take it for granted. As I said, we're a gang in a good way. As I said, we're a gang,
Yeah.
right?
Good
And
gang.
then my contact information at the end, if people want to get in touch with me via email. And I want to thank all the Dad Central family who've been supportive of me over the years. And I want to give a special thanks to Lee Gibson, who has,
Yeah.
you know, many of you don't know Lee, and she probably don't want you to know her because you're gonna get shy, but she has been with Dad Central, well, up until recently, longer than anybody else. And I want to thank Lee Gibson for the support, the care, the passion, and the mothering that she's done for the Dad Central family and fathers and their families globally. Lee, we love you. We love you. We love you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I would echo that.
So
Thank
we
you,
got
and don't make me cry.
we got,
That's-
so I know Lee's a shy type, but if you're blushing, that's a good thing. And if you're crying a bit, that's a good thing too.
That's okay too.
We've got about 6 minutes. Any people have any questions? Oh, I'm going to ask, is there anything I could have done more or less of?
I don't know. I think it was just like Goldilocks and the Three Bears that you got it
Well,
just
sorry,
right.
I don't got
right.
any locks. So sorry, I'm locks deficient. And thanks everybody. I didn't get a chance. I'm sure there are a lot of comments in the chat. And again, Sydney, if we can gather those, I think
For
there is
sure.
some really good things that can be shared throughout the network here. All these suggestions. Thank you, Cherry. There's a lot of great suggestions. And as I said, offline, I'm sure Jason, Sydney, and myself have a conversation. And, if they want to have me back, I'd be more than happy. Maybe we land on one of the slides and just go all in on one or two conversation topics and do the same sort of thing, have a co-creative conversation.
I think there's definitely some opportunities for some follow-up for sure.
I think so. Maybe what we could do is a check-in with our network about where would they like to see the deeper dive?
Yeah.
What if we came up with some options for a deeper dive, Ed?
Absolutely.
And we could
I'd
send that
I'd
out.
love to do that. I'd love to do that. That would be absolutely fantastic.
That would be awesome. Now, there was that question, Genevieve reminded us. I think you were going to circle back to it.
About getting a copy of what I've shared.
Right. And
I will just, we'll get a copy. I just want to review it with Jason and Sydney, and then we'll get it sent out to you. My pleasure.
The other piece I would suggest to everyone on the call here is that this is being recorded. So, encourage your coworkers to have a look and continue the discussion.
And don't be afraid to reach out to me if you want. Like I'm very, very passionate about this, right? And I don't know all the answers, and I'm learning because that's why I want some of the chat, because I know there's some things I go, never thought about that. Let me go and dive into that.
That sounds good. And as I mentioned earlier, we did do a survey. We got a few responses about father engagement across the network. And we were going to share some of that, but I think considering the time, and Jason, I'm sort of checking in with you, the time and both the idea of integrating the chat information and possibly another opportunity to do a deeper dive with Ed. I think let's just continue. Okay, good.
Thanks, I would
as Deborah pointed out, maybe a part 2.
Hey, I'm up for that, and maybe all of you can pick a conversation, and we'll do this, and we'll just dive into one thing and just really go in and get everyone's suggestions, best practices, successes, and things that didn't work. Because in life, we have towards motivation and away motivation. And sometimes we're driven more by the away motivation than towards motivation.
For sure.
Very good.
For sure.
If I could just add or ask something.
Sure.
Hi.
Hey, Kim.
Hi. I love the presentation. Thank you so much. What I always love to hear about is some of those ideas that come out of a program, and sometimes they're planned, sometimes they're not planned. But I remember years ago, one dad's program in Toronto brought in a hairdresser and taught dads how to put ponies in their child's hair. And I remember when my kids were small, they would complain when I was gone away to a CAPCHP CPNP conference and dad had to do our hair, But it was a great idea, and it's those kind of ideas that I would love to hear more about too. Yeah,
Kim, that's a great idea. Sorry, Jason. That's why when you have good rapport with your participants, ask them what they need.
Yeah.
Right. Ask them what they need, because if your programming can be father driven instead of you driven,
that's true. That's
Oh,
true.
because the fathers will feel valid and say, hey, they're listening to us. And that will, if one father gets something addressed, what's going to happen? Another father is going to come and say, can you address? And then what will happen is a lot of times there are fathers that have experiences about those things, and it takes the pressure off of you. You're just guiding and making sure the ship is running right. You're just steering the ship instead of driving the ship, because a lot of times they have the answers, but they haven't been given the time to ask questions. Oh, that's another thing. When you ask a dad a question, I'm going to be polite here. Shut up.
Yeah.
Why do I say this? The reason why is we all talk around the same sort of speed in life, but people process information at different speeds.
Mhm.
So when you're having a conversation with a father, a conversation for me is a living, breathing thing. Let it live, let it breathe. So if they take time to answer that question, give them the time.
Mhm.
Give them the time, because it's a form of respect. You don't want to say, oh, what are you going to do next? Hey, I'm waiting for your answer. Like they're still processing.
Yeah.
Give
Well,
them
and
the
so
time
many
to,
of us are caregivers and facilitators, myself, who sometimes rush in a little bit too quickly, like maybe
yeah,
like I am right now, to fill in some, to provide context or
yeah.
fill a silence.
But
I had a
yeah,
really good thought there to pick up on Kim and also what Ed is saying around this. We had a drop-in program for dads on weekends here for a number of years, and the dads were talking about they had heard about this infant massage program, and did we know anything about it? Could we help them out? And so we did some facilitator training, and we brought the infant massage into the program, and
wow.
how great that was, because
Yeah.
the dads that wanted it came and enjoyed it, but also the dads that had never heard about it and didn't ask saw it as well.
Okay.
I
All
love
right.
it.
Well, I know all of you got to get back to stuff. So thank you for allowing me to take some of the most valuable thing you have, your time. I appreciate it. As always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And especially with all we do, remember to give yourself grace.
I love that. Thank you. I
As
think
always,
that's
Ed,
one.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
So much food for thought for everyone.
Mhm.
Perfect. And
Mhm.
thank you everyone for joining us.
Take care. Have a good rest of the day. Thanks for co-hosting, Jason.
Thank you, Sydney.
And Ed will be in touch.
When you have time, or if you want to stay after the recording's finished for a few seconds, that's up to you guys. And especially
Sounds
Lee
good.
Gibson.
Take care. I'll stop the recording.